Kindred Longevity Lifestyle Designers. This is Zach here, and it is Q&A on Sunday, and I've got a whole bunch of questions from one user, Charge-It24 on YouTube, and I'll get right into them. They've asked a variety of questions, mostly pertaining to diet. And this question is just a basic one about what am I eating right now since I have cut out all the sugars from my diet. And I do go over what a sugarless diet that is all raw could look like in my 6-part series that you can find in the archives of my YouTube channel. But I'll go over that again briefly here, and I'm basically doing what I talked about there. Plenty of plant fats because you are needing a calorie source, but also plant proteins are very calorically dense and sustaining as well. And that actually is a key for maintaining blood sugar. If you're getting like a pang of needing fruit or agave or some sort of sweetness, that's usually a blood sugar imbalance, and either that or an emotional imbalance. But if it's blood sugar, the main thing you'd want to do is get in some sort of protein, concentrated protein like chlorella is the one I'm always recommending. That's what they recommend at Hippocrates, is to get the little chlorella tablets and just have them always handy with you. Take them if you go out and about, and you can just pop a few in your mouth. And because they're about 50% protein and easily digestible amino acids, you just chew those up, swallow them, and your blood sugar is going to really stabilize quite quickly. You can take anywhere from 5 to 10 at a time. I personally take about a tablespoon of chlorella powder per day, and that's just a general supplement, but especially it's quite handy while I'm doing this kind of diet or protocol with no sugar from simple sugars. Just in terms of if I need a snack but I'm in the middle of doing something and I can't quite make a meal yet, I'll just mix a bit of chlorella powder in water. And it's like a green soup, very small amount, like 1 or 2 tablespoons. And it's just great for, getting that even keel that can just give you that extra little boost until you can make it to your next meal. And the key definitely is getting enough calories. When I was at Hippocrates, I wasn't necessarily getting enough calories, partially due to the fact that we were just eating salads mostly, and I felt that that wasn't totally working for my metabolism, and I got really weak legs at certain points. I was also exercising a lot more than I normally do because you have all this time to just exercise, eat, and focus on your own health. But I personally, my own metabolism does well with higher fat than most people can handle. But I'm just doing that through this period of time while I'm doing the low sugar. But when I introduce more simple sugars and carbohydrates back in, then that'll be more of a balance. So I'm not overdoing the fat long term, which can have its own negative effects. So a lot of my proteins come from sprouts because they're often greens are the most nutrient or protein dense foods on the planet. Protein is made by sunlight. Sunlight gets turned into protein or amino acids in the plants. So most greens are complete protein. There are some that aren't. So it's not like a blanket rule for greens, but a lot of the sprouts are. Sunflower sprouts are. All the algae are complete protein. Seaweeds are generally complete protein. Dulse is very high protein. It's 40% protein by its nutrient quantity. And if you compare that to beef, which is 18%, it's kind of makes you laugh. And I mean, you obviously can eat more beef than you can dulse. It's really highly concentrated food. So you're not going to eat tons of dulse, but if all your foods are very high protein, which is what the foods are on the Hippocrates program, you're going to get a lot of protein, which, although doesn't have the negative effect of being acidic like it would if you're eating tons of animal protein, and the alkalinity of greens balances out the protein problems, plus you're not getting the high sugar hit from eating tons of fruit. So in my opinion, in my experience, in my observations in people, is that the Hippocrates program is definitely more sustainable long term. As for the other things that I'm eating right now, I'm eating sprouted things like buckwheat, some sprouted beans in smaller quantities, and also small amounts of animal products. I'm eating some raw eggs. I could probably be consuming some raw dairy if I could find any here in Ontario. It's hard to come by. And also various superfoods that do superfood smoothies. I just avoid the fruit ones that contain sugar and fructose and those types of things. And you mentioned that you are doing a candida cleanse yourself, but you also said you're avoiding the nuts. And if you have problems with nuts, if it's allergies or not, you didn't mention that. I personally like nuts. I do fine with nuts. I don't go overboard with them by any means, but I do eat a certain amount every day, or most days. But what I do eat a lot more of are seeds, because they're actually higher in protein and lower in fat, and generally less allergenic. And specifically hemp seeds are hypoallergenic, meaning they really don't have any allergens in them because they're so easily digestible. They actually have the most digestible form of protein found anywhere in the plant kingdom, which is edestin. It's about 65% edestin and 35% albumin, which is another very easily digestible protein. So hemp seeds are great. They're complete. You don't even have to soak them because they don't have the casing on them, or they don't have the enzyme inhibitors in them. Chia seeds are another one you don't need to soak, although you can just to make them gel up. But yeah, chia seeds and hemp seeds, great, high protein, helps balance blood sugar, helps give you energy without overdoing it on the fats if you're not able to handle higher fat. And then of course coconut butter or coconut oil in small amounts. But yeah, if you're getting tired and not getting the energy you need, definitely go for the algae. Like I mentioned, the chlorella, seaweed, sprouts. Don't be afraid of small amounts of raw animal products if you're going for that. I personally wouldn't recommend raw meat, but if that's your thing, go for it. And one thing I would also recommend is adding some cooked grains like quinoa or millet, alkalizing, easy to digest grains that are gluten-free. And this is just specifically so if you have problems with doing too much fat and you're not, and you're okay eating some cooked foods. So yeah, quinoa is a great one because that's complete protein. It's alkalizing. It's actually one of the grains that is highest in fat, but it's really small amount of fat. You could sprout quinoa, but I personally don't like the taste of it. It ferments really easily and that gets kind of funky. In terms of eliminating skin issues, which you also were asking about in one of your questions, specifically acne, there are several issues that could be connected with this, and I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose. I don't give cures, but possible reasons to any sort of skin eruption that is pus-like could be hormonal imbalance. If you have high running testosterone, like most adolescent males do, you can get pimples easier. And my view is that testosterone in higher amounts, you're going to get tighter skin, you're going to be more vigorous, healthy, higher libido. And you know, a little pimple here or there isn't a big deal compared to getting tons of wrinkles, becoming overweight, and balding, which is if you have low testosterone. But yeah, hormone balancing things like maca can be great for this. Just any of the herbs that I generally talk about that target the hormones are going to be beneficial for this. Also, eliminating the sugars is over time going to reduce this, but there's often a bacterial or fungal component under the skin, and taking slightly larger doses over a certain period of time of the antifungal herbs and spices like fresh raw garlic, you can add that to everything. I'd be careful not to go past a bulb a day. At Hippocrates I did way more than a bulb per day because they had garlic juice and I was taking more than I thought was in that amount, and I kind of damaged the lining of my stomach, I believe, because I was getting intense stomach cramps. So actually I haven't even been able to touch garlic since. I have some like hummus or avocado with garlic in it, and right away I start to get uneasiness in my stomach. But yeah, there's tons of other options too, like eat lots of onions and other green onions, radishes, red onions, all these foods that have those components in them that are antifungal. Also, making pau d'arco tea with cat's claw and any of the other Amazonian herbs are generally strongly antifungal. Specifically, pau d'arco is the best one. It's the tree that doesn't really rot when it falls in the woods, and the native people there observed that and made their bow and arrows out of it because the wood was very hardy and took a very long time to break down. So I hope that helps, and definitely everyone out there, please ask questions throughout the week and I'll answer them in next week's Q&A on Sunday. Thank you.